Hi, welcome to the Vulture podcast. I'm your host, Elaine Mingus. I own Vulture, which is a vintage furniture company here in the Austin, Texas area. You can find me at curbvulture.com and view all of my inventory. But I am finally restarting this amazing podcast that I had done before as audio only. Now we're doing it as video. And I have my very first guest, Home Dwellings, here on the podcast. So just kind of tell us a little bit about your real name, not just your handle, and just a little bit about yourself.
My name's Sarah Lowry. Nice to meet you all. My Instagram is Home Dwellings. I do furniture flipping and also reselling. I'm in the Austin, Texas area as well. I'm a mom to 3, married, and just growing my business.
That's awesome. So tell me how you got the name Home Dwelling.
Well, it came about when we first moved here. I got into, furniture flipping, which is its own story, but I was trying to come up with a name for my Instagram page, and it was just the best thing that I felt like fit me. Like, I love being home. I actually am home with my 3 kids all the time. I homeschool, and, I love furniture and all things like that. So it just fit.
Yeah. And so tell me, how did you get into furniture flipping? Like, what was your first flip? What did that look like?
So you were actually involved in that because it was when I first moved here 3 years ago. I really wanted to get into house flipping, which is still like my long-term goal. And I had picked up this table at the thrift store, and it sat in my garage for months. And I got to the point where I'm like, okay, if that's really my like long-term goal, then if I can't flip this table, then there's no way I can flip a house. So I got down in the garage, finished it, sold it for like almost nothing, and then realized like, oh, I can do this. And if I do it a little bit better, then I can probably get a little bit more profit than what I got on the table. And then I remember seeing you did like, I don't know, you were speaking at a function or something, and I somehow came across your video on Instagram, and you were saying how you helped get your family out of debt and everything by selling trash, literally like finding stuff on the curb. And so then it just started from there. I was like, wait, I can combine these 2 things. I can find my pieces for free and then flip them. And then I realized I can even actually just resell the things that I find as is. They don't always require a huge makeover.
Yeah, I didn't know. I actually didn't know that I was part of that. I mean, I knew we knew each other, but I didn't know. That's so awesome because, like I always say, it keeps history out of the landfill, and it does so much good for the environment. It does good. I think, especially, I'm a mom of 7, you're a mom of 3. You have to have something that like fills your soul outside of being a mom. And then when you can, buy your kids that, extra ice cream they want or whatever it is, like it's such a fulfilling feeling as a mom. So I'm super glad to hear that. And I've done the same thing where you've sold stuff like for way too cheap, like dressers for $40. You're like, why did I not charge $400 for that?
The pressure, you're like, oh, I need this to sell. And sometimes you end up thinking that it's not going to sell, and it's just a waiting game. And you have to just tell your mind to like, chill out. It's going to sell.
Absolutely. Well, and especially when you're like me, I mean, I was working out of my house. I didn't have the studio like I do now.
Right.
I had this tiny little space, and the kids were running around the furniture, and I was like, don't touch that. Don't touch it. It's sold. It's sold. I'm going to have to give her money back if you break. And you've got a small space too. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So what was your favorite piece that you found on the side of the road that you were like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I found this?
It wasn't on the side of the road, but it was actually a free listing, and it was the cloud dupe couch that everybody loved from Living Spaces, and somebody was actually getting rid of it for free. And I was like, I can resell that. I don't need to do anything to it other than maybe give it a little cleaning, and I can resell that. So my husband was like, really? And I'm like, yes, trust me. So we all got in the car, drove down, picked it up from this lady, and I ended up reselling it for, I think, like $600.
Wow.
And that was zero investment other than driving 20 minutes down the road.
And your husband was like, all right now.
He couldn't tell from the picture. The picture, to justify his response, the picture was really bad, but I could tell what it was. So I was like, no, we need to go get that. And then from there, it definitely sparked the reselling side of my business, like reselling items as is, not, doing
all that work. Yeah.
Right. Right.
I think it's also seeing, you have to have vision. And I think that's one thing that people are like, oh, well, I could do that, or anybody could do that. Well, of course, anybody could do that.
Yeah.
But there's also this place where you are giving a new vision, a new life to certain pieces. And you're seeing, and somebody might not really care that much to even make money. They just want to get rid of a piece.
A lot of
you're
times
doing them a huge favor just by picking it up and being a seller or a buyer that is not flaky too.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a whole thing in and of itself. So now I know couches, you talked about couches, are a big part of your story.
They are,
You just recently posted on Instagram about how you sold, I don't even know how many couches. So tell me about your couch journey there.
Okay, so the couch thing really started after that one cloud dupe couch. And that was pretty much like my bread and butter all summer long, was reselling couches. I know some people think it's gross, or that like they're paranoid about bed bugs and, things like that, but there's definitely ways that you can minimize risk to that, for one. And two, it's also very rare. But three, couches are a huge demand. Everybody needs a couch. And I was reselling couches within like a 48-hour turnaround. I would literally pick it up, stage it, and by the time I even got it to my storage unit the next day, somebody would want it. So it's a really great profit, especially when you're picking them up for free and you're getting, anywhere from $350 to $500 off of a free couch. And it's still a great deal for the buyer. It's great for the person getting rid of it because they don't have to pay somebody to come and remove it. And like you said, it's saving stuff from the landfill, because I'm sure there's tons of couches in there.
Yeah. And I definitely think, even if you're getting it off at Facebook Marketplace for free, like a lot of people don't, especially in Austin, they don't have big trucks to take it to the Goodwill.
Right.
So they're going to put it on the side of the road, which maybe it gets rained on in this crazy Texas weather, especially during the summer, which one day it's 100 degrees and the next day it's raining. We never know. But tell me a little bit. I know you're like sitting there and I feel so bad. You like hot in your garage because that's where you work out of. But the couches, you were talking about how you would take a lot of them to the car wash, and that helped you cool off during the summer. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so it was very hot this past summer. I think we hit like the highest record of like how many days in a row it was over 100 degrees. And I was just dying. I'm like, I can't even sit out here in the sun and clean it manually with my little fabric cleaner. I'm just going to go to the freaking car wash and I'm going to power wash it there and just let it dry in the sun. And it really worked. It totally worked. I was able to scrub out like a few stains that it had. And I mean, it smelled amazing and it dried in a few hours. I did rotate it, up and down to make sure it dried. But
so tell me about it. Okay, so like get in the nitty gritty, because I'm actually curious, because I have a rug that I need to take, that I need to like close off. Okay, so especially with couches, because there's a lot of foam. Do you really get in there and it's like sopping wet?
They're like, it's sopping wet, which I will say, that post, when I shared it last summer, I got like a lot of controversy over it on Facebook for some reason. It got 1 million views on Facebook, and I got so many hate comments talking about how I'm making people sick, I'm giving them mold exposure, all these things. And I did specify, like, I would not do this in every area. I wouldn't recommend it for people that live in colder temperatures or even in cooler parts of the year here. But during summertime here, those couches were definitely drying thoroughly within hours. So I wasn't worried about it. And also,
goodness gracious, the troll. God love the trolls. Thank you for all the comments, because you bring the algorithm to us. So we're so thankful for that. So that is interesting. And so did you use like soap, or is there soap there at the
out of the brush?
All right. So they have soap.
Just like scrubbed it. And then I used the pressure washer part. So just the water to rinse out all the soap afterwards. And then I brought it home and let it dry, and
And so how much does that cost? Like, do you have a certain one that you like?
I think it cost total $15. It was just down the street.
Okay.
But if you're faster at it, it would cost less. So
it's like is it like a per hour?
Yeah, it's like the actual drive-through ones where you're under like the little thing, and you have to just keep feeding money into the machine because it's timed.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like the old school ones.
Right. And they have the big shop vacs, but they don't want you to vacuum out water with it.
No, absolutely. That is so great. So tell me about like something that you would like people who are listening to know about you and your business, and maybe one of your favorite stories that you have of your business.
Favorite story. This was actually a funny freak accident that happened. I picked up a rug from someone and I left it in the back of my truck for about a day and a half. And when I finally went out to my truck to get the rug and unroll it, I kept hearing a cat and I was like, what is going on? Like, I know there's like, we have a lot of feral cats in my neighborhood. So I was like looking under the car, didn't see anything. And then I realized like it has to be coming from the rug. So when I unraveled the rug, the lady's cat was stuck in there.
Oh my gosh. Did you like call? She was
I messaged her back right away and I was like, your cat, I have your cat. It escaped your house somehow and it's in the rug. I don't know how it didn't like go flying out when I lifted the rug, but it stayed in there. And just thank God it wasn't like super hot that day and a half that it was stuck in my truck. I felt so bad. It was totally fine though.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I bet she was so thankful that
she was. They even put up like missing flyers for it. Like they had no idea where he went.
Oh my gosh. So not only you're just rescuing cats, not just
for animals.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
So tell me about a little bit like about your home life. Like how does this work in your real life with your husband and your kids and your homeschooling? What does that look like?
So my husband and I are both like in the creative workforce, I guess you could say. Like he's a tattoo artist and I redo furniture. So for him, it works well for us because he's home the first half of the week and then he's at work and then I'm with the kids. So we just split the week right down the middle. I do my furniture 3 days. He's at the shop 3 days and he picks up homeschooling lessons with them on the days I'm working and then vice versa. So that's just how it works for us. But, with homeschooling, as you know, it's a sacrifice. So it requires at least one parent home all the time. So neither one of us actually gets to work full time. So we have to really hustle, but we make it work.
Yeah, it's definitely, I know my husband just got a job. So because we, as you know, like the furniture market has shifted since 2020 when everybody was moving in and it was crazy. The market was crazy. People were coming from California and New York and people were buying furniture and like throwing money at us. And now it's, just a little bit shifted to, where people are slowing down. Maybe some people are even moving out of Texas. I know the hustle very well and how hard it is that you're constantly doing, but also the flexibility because you do get to stay home and teach I'm teaching my kids how to run a business, not even verbally, but like just
what they see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've posted it a couple times. My son, my 6-year-old thinks that he's my video guy.
Yeah.
And he's so cute. And he drives me absolutely bananas, but he always wants to be out there with me. So tell me about your kids. How is this, like, how do they view this whole furniture thing?
Well, my ages are 3-year-old twins and then 6-year-old. So they definitely like being by my side as much as they can. But sometimes they can't be out in the garage when I'm doing tools and stuff like that. But they see me. And then a lot of furniture pickups, they all come along with us. So we just make it kind of like a family event. So they know that it's my work and this is how we make money. I think it's great that you can include them in any way that we can. It's really good to teach them that like the things that they want and need don't come free and they don't come easy sometimes. And it takes hard work to provide,
Yeah. Yeah, I know, especially when you're picking up stuff on the side of the road, there's also fun things they get. Like, I don't know how many
they do get toys that way too.
Lots of toys on the side of the road, lots of doll houses. And then when you're done, when it's just sitting there, no one's playing with it anymore, you just go, okay, I sold it. It's done. You'll get another one next month. It'll be fine.
Yeah, they do like to see what they can get. True. That's so true.
Yeah. They also love going to Goodwill because that's also fun for them to go to Goodwill. I love to ask this question. I got to ask this question during a networking event that I was in, and it was just really thought-provoking. What is one area of your business and of your life that you feel very like expansive? Like you feel like everything is either like kind of rolling, it's good, it's feeling good.
Right.
In one area where you feel like as a business owner, you really could use support and or advice.
I would definitely say like having 3 years under my belt now with the actual furniture flipping side of my business, I feel like I'm at that point where I know my skill level it's pretty good. I understand what I'm doing a lot more, and I don't struggle as much like per project that I dive into. I really enjoy that aspect. I'm starting to open up to taking like custom work now that I have like that confidence. Before, it used to like really scare me. I would get so paranoid that like I was going to do something wrong or they weren't going to like something. But I think my confidence has definitely built in that area. As far as an area that I definitely want to improve on, or it's just a goal of mine, eventually I would like to branch out into like getting brand deals for certain things. But that's like its own business within your business, and it's still foreign to me, so I'm still like learning the ins and outs of that and trying to get established in that area next.
Yeah. And then so what is, like, you talked about house flipping. Is that still a long-term
Yeah,
goal
it's
for
a
you?
long-term goal. Yeah, the furniture flipping and reselling was really a means to like kind of feed into that project financially. So that's the long-term goal, is to blend this into that, and the skills I've learned doing this really put into use on that. And
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
so,
Learning so much how to fix just about anything,
yeah,
anywhere, and any condition for sure.
yeah,
Now, I know you've been a little bit more active and you kind of talked about offering a online course, I
yeah.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So, and I do have a couple different
Right,
online course options. So,
right.
what is the vision for that? When can we be looking for that?
So the overall goal of the course is to really just like show other people who might be struggling financially, because I know what that feels like. Really show them like you can make really good money reselling or furniture flipping, whichever direction you choose to go. It's going to dive deep into reselling, how to do it, what items sell really well for me, staging, how to source the items. It'll go over all that. And then the furniture flipping side of it, it's going to be like actual tutorial based videos where I have a project that I'll walk you through all the steps on how to complete a furniture flip from start to finish, with just like, the basic startup tools that you would need, and then how to find the pieces and sell them as well.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming I'll ask this, but I'm assuming it's couches. But what is your favorite piece of furniture to flip right now?
Flip or resell?
Uh,
Like
Oh, I
refurbish
guess you're saying
or just
flip is
resell?
like you do stuff to it.
Yeah,
Resell is
I
like I'm
say flip
reselling it
all
as
the time.
is.
I
Okay.
flip everything.
All right. What? Either one. Either one.
If it's just reselling, I definitely love the speed of couches, and I literally don't do anything to them other than give them a quick cleaning and stage them. So that's my favorite thing to resell. As far as furniture flips go, dressers are kind of like the bread and butter. Everybody wants a dresser, and they just resell easily. So
Yeah,
it would.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if the average household is 4 people, they need
Right.
4 dressers and only one couch. So yeah,
Right.
dressers are 100% like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So how has your business evolved? Now I know because when I
Mm-hmm.
started, it was like mid-century has always been big. I don't
Right.
think it'll ever go away, but it's,
Right.
I do see kind of a little bit of a shift towards like more moody stuff, maybe a little bit more like scrolly, a little bit more friend style, like
Yes.
vintage 1990s. I'm like, wait a
Yes,
second,
that's the thing now.
that is
That's the
not
thing.
vintage.
As we get older, the things that we grew up with are not, the things we grew up with. They're vintage now. So
Yeah. So how has your business and your style and what you're offering evolved through the years, or has it?
so I've come to terms with like the fact that like I used to think of reselling as like always vintage. It has to be vintage, vintage. But reselling can encompass any style, or anything and everything. Like people resell electronics, like
Yeah.
refrigerators, washer dryers. Like I have a friend, Texas Gal Treasures, she would resell like things like that. Or like you have such a unique style in the choices that you pick, and I think it's so cool, and you do so well with it. And I haven't found like a niche yet. I kind of just like what I think will resell well, and
Yeah.
make for groceries, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, and
So
you really do, like, you get to
yeah.
the place where sometimes, something is not as hot. Like Moroccan rugs was super hot. I ordered all these Moroccan
Mhm.
rugs from Turkey and Morocco, and they were
Yeah.
selling like hotcakes. And I cannot, for the life of me, sell some of the ones that I've imported
Right.
more recently. And because people have maybe realized that Moroccan rugs are too floofy for their dog, or maybe slip around more. They don't have the proper foundation. I'm a big fan of Turkish rugs just because they're so great.
I love them. Every time I see you post them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that one. I want that one.
I know. A good rug is so great. But with little kids, I'm like, God, I just need to sweep up the crumbs. And these, I keep going back and forth between my house with no rugs or my house with rugs. I'm not really sure. So, all right. So one of the things I want to make sure that we get to talk about is, what are some of the biggest takeaways? If somebody is starting out reselling, if they're listening to this podcast, what do you think that somebody should absolutely know in this business?
Really learn how to list your items. I think the most crucial part in reselling and reselling well is that you know how to stage your items. Like, honestly, if you take a picture of something in a dark area in your house, it's not going to sell well. If you take it in nice, bright lighting, like I love your backdrop that you have, the brick wall. I have like this one over here that you can see a little bit of. You don't need to get that fancy, but honestly, really make sure that your pictures are good quality photos and your description is really good of your item. I think that gives you the best chances for success when you're selling.
Yeah. And then do you list mostly, do you have a website? Do you list on Facebook? Where do you list at?
I mainly list on Facebook Marketplace, but I'm actually going to be taking a course this week for UShip so that I can expand into shipping. And so I might do like an Etsy or something like that soon.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And one of the things with backdrops that I'm really loving is, I love my backdrop. I'm a big fan of Pinterest crack walls, like the white wall, just white. It sells so well. It looks really good. It looks really fresh and clean. But, photographing on that white wall, and especially if I stage it in such a way, like the AI and within Instagram stories, I have really loved using that.
It's so fun.
It's so much fun. And you can really take that, and have multiple different vibes that you're offering your client, because you're really selling the dream of this piece of furniture. Because somebody, like when I go and look at a piece of furniture, my husband goes, that's like was in my grandma's house. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
That's the point. Yeah. I really think aesthetic matters. Like it really does. Like if you want to sell to a person who likes, X, Y, and Z, set up your staging to really catch the eye of that person's style. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. So as we close up, just tell everybody where we can find you on social media or website, and if we want to get a hold of you.
I'm only on Instagram right now at Home Dwellings, and you can also find me on Facebook, I guess. I don't really go on there much. Instagram is my main thing.
Instagram. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time with me. And I hope everybody on the podcast was able to glean whatever wisdom that we've given you so that you can create your own vintage furniture resale business and keep history out of the landfill with us. Thank you so much for joining this podcast. Join us again next week.